Boru Halakhe. He is an Africa Security and Policy Analyst. Thank you so much for joining us on our program today.
My pleasure.
I want to get your reaction to how the peace talks are going right now and as they conclude there between both sides.
I think the peace talk came against the background of the previous week where the peace talks were organized, but at least one of the mediators, the former Kenyan president, Uhuru Kenyatta, said that he wasn't consulted, so was the TPLF. But this one that just started on Monday, this last week, is going on well so far, and according to the sources from the South African Ministry of Foreign Affairs, this first phase will end by the end of this week, and then we'll be able to know where it will go on. One of the most contentious issues during these peace talks is the question of cessation of hostilities and then the delivery of humanitarian aid to people in need, which are probably almost 6 million inside the Tigray region.
I want to get back to that humanitarian angle a little bit later, but again, on these peace talks, what more can the African Union do to mediate? And what about the international community? What role, if any, do they have in all of this?
I think the United States, more than any other actor, has been very, very forceful, at least behind the scenes. Much as this process is largely an African Union peace process, I think most of the push, whether it's from Ambassador Hammer, who is the U.S. Special Envoy to the Horn of Africa, or whether it's the Secretary of State, they have been pushing very, very strongly. So was Molly Fee, who is in charge of the African desk at the State Department. So in that regard, they have played a bigger part in ensuring that this peace process happens, as well as bilateral and multilateral institutions, IGAD, as well as the the UN. So the AU has come under severe criticism because of the manner in which it has conducted itself. But we've got to understand as well that the AU is hosted by the Ethiopian government. They are the host of Ethiopian government, and Addis Ababa is the seat of African diplomacy. As such, they are constrained on how much they can push.
I want to go back to that humanitarian crisis angle. What is the latest? What are the needs there right now, and how bad could it potentially get?
I think we've got to step back even before the violence that erupted November 2 years ago now. The region has been facing a drought that is worse that we've seen anything like it over the last 40 years. That's number one. Number two, we are entering now, this is October, November, where there is rain, there's short rains in the region. We are entering a fifth, below average rainfall in that region, not just Ethiopia, but the entire Horn of Africa region. And there are experts who are predicting that March, April, May, which is the longer rain, might also be below average. So we are entering an unprecedented sixth failed rainy season. So for the Ethiopia, the region, and particularly for the Tigray, this becomes incredibly difficult because you're dealing with massive food and nutrition insecurity, but you're also dealing with conflict. And as a result, what we are looking at is over 5 million people inside the Tigrayan region who cannot get humanitarian aid because the government doesn't allow aid going into that region. The latest round of conflict, which started on the 24th of August, we had a 5-month ceasefire. During that time, aid was going in, but it wasn't enough. Furthermore, the humanitarian appeal for the region is around $4.4 billion US. So far, the EU has only given, close to 500 million US dollars. The US has given close to 1 billion. So there is massive humanitarian aid shortage in that region and in Ethiopia.
Hope we can find some sort of solution to this. Abdullahi Boru Halakhe, thank you so much for joining us today.
My pleasure.
Well, still to